to In the Kitchen with Bobby, episode 2. So I'm thrilled that you came back next week. Thanks for everybody that liked and subscribed after the espresso brownies. So that was pretty exciting that you did that, and we truly appreciate it here. So don't forget to share this and have your friends like and subscribe as well, or subscribe if you haven't. That helps us get it out to everybody else. Anyway, so I'm Bobby, and this is my kitchen. Like, this is not a commercial kitchen. This is my kitchen. So part of the purpose of this is to show you that you can do all kinds of things even in a small kitchen. So you're looking pretty much my whole kitchen. I have a counter here in front of me that I move over here just so I could do this. It's kind of over on the side, but it was not included in my kitchen. It was something that my father had made years ago, and I acquired it. So anyway, just like, there's not a whole lot in this kitchen. I live in a townhouse, so that's just what it is. So here's what we're going to do today. We are going to make apple dumplings. Why? Because today is National Apple Dumpling Day. Who knew? I thought that was hilarious. So I run a bakery on the side. Some of you know that, and I often go look and see what day it is, like, and try to make foods around it, or special, put them on special for my bakery. And so when I came across this, I was like, well, that's what we're going to make for our next demonstration. So it's Apple Dumpling Day, and you wouldn't believe some of the crazy food days there are here in the United States. So apple dumplings, what are they? All right, so let's just go back to that. As a teacher, I would tell you, for 26 years I was a teacher, I would give you, like, what are we going to do, or what are we trying to make, how are we going to do it, like, what's the overview of how we're going to do it, and then what are the details to get us there. So if you think about it like a map, what are we going to do, or where are we trying, where are we going, like planning a trip, with Google Maps, you plug in where you're going to go. So in this instance, apple dumplings. And then you like it when it gives you the map. That's kind of our general, this is what we're going to do. And then that piece down below, or when you plug it into your car, and it gives you the minute by minute or turn by turns. That's going to be more of our details. That's going to be the directions in our recipe. So here we go. Ready? Apple dumplings. Apple dumplings are first recorded, the first time we have them recorded in history. They could have been around before that, but the first time we know they're recorded in history was in the mid-18th century in England. Okay? And then they made a jump across the pond, and they came to the States, and they became very well known, particularly in the Pennsylvania area. So Pennsylvania, that's my mom's home state. I'm here in Missouri. But they became a thing more there than across the country, like kind of the Pennsylvania Dutch type of atmosphere. What are they? So apple dumplings are an apple that's been peeled and cored. This one has not. And that is wrapped in a pastry dough. Okay. And then baked either with a sauce, or the sauce is put on it after we're done baking. It's often a very buttery, yummy sauce. So inside the apple is going to be like some butter, some brown sugar, maybe some cinnamon and some nutmeg. Okay. This instance is going to have both, but sometimes people don't like nutmeg. For me, it's one of those fall types of things, and so that's where it's September, and so we're going to make a fall recipe. So let's talk about ingredients. Dough. You can use your favorite dough. If you have a pie crust dough that you like and you love, and it was your grandmother's and it never fails you, use it. Okay. If you don't like dealing with dough, pastry dough, because you never get it crust, like you never get it flaky, and you never, buy the one at the store. It works. Okay, it all works. I'm going to use one called a sucre. Okay, sucre is French for sugar kind of thing. And it is, it's not exactly, but it means it's going to have sugar in it. That particular one is made with eggs, cake flour, and powdered sugar. We are not going to make dough here today. We are going to just start with the dough, because some of you are going to use either your own recipe, or you're going to use an already store-bought one. So any of those are fine. Use one of those. Apples. This recipe calls for Granny Smith apples. Why? Because they're firm and they have just enough tartness, so they're going to balance out our sugars. We're going to use brown sugar and white sugar in our recipe, so we want some tartness to balance out some of that sweetness. Okay, you could also use Honeycrisp, Fuji, Gala, any of those firm. If you type in Google, Google's your best friend. That's what I used to tell my students. Google's your best friend. If you type that in, good baking apples, it's going to tell you. Like, so you can use whatever you prefer. You don't have to use Granny Smith. Let's talk about brown sugar for a little bit. Or sugar. So we're going to use brown sugar. Mine's already measured out. We're going to use white sugar. This one's going to go into our sauce. This one's going to go inside our dumplings. But I'm going to talk about my pro keeper. So I told you every now and then I talk about some tips and trips, and somebody asked me to talk about some of my tools and things I use baking. And so here's one of them. This is my pro keeper. So pro keeper keeps my powder or my brown sugar moist. Okay. Instead of using, I have one right here, our handy dandy sugar bear, right? And you got to get it wet and then put it down in your brown sugar, and then it dries out or it gets all clumped onto it. Then you got to find it again, and I'll deal with that, right? So my Pro Keeper has that right here in the lid. I'm going to pop this piece open, and you can see it. This piece comes out. Comes out. I get there's some sugar on it. I soak it for 15 minutes, about every 3 months. Put it back in here. The rest of it seals tight, and it keeps my brown sugar nice and moist. So I love that. I got mine from King Arthur Flour, or King Arthur Baking Company. It's not flour anymore. They have flour, but the company is called King Arthur Baking. Butter. We're going to use butter. I'm just going to tell you, the better your butter, the better your product. Period. So it's going to be a richer sauce. I use Kerrygold for a lot of what I do when the flavor matters. So I'm going to show you. So this is my Kerrygold. This is the wrapper. I use unsalted Kerrygold. All these things I'm mentioning, I do not get paid for. Like, I have not supported, at least at the time of this recording. But I'm going to show you. This is my butter keeper. You can look inside and see the difference. This is just my local store's butter. It's American butter. This is more what we would call European butter. This is Kerrygold. It is an Irish grass-fed. It's made from Irish grass-fed cows. Look at the difference in those colors, and that translates into a better flavor. Down the line, we're going to talk more about some more of the difference between American butter and European butter, water content, fat, that kind of stuff. Not today. Okay, so stay tuned. Come back later, because one day we'll talk more deeply about ingredients. Spices, we're going to use cinnamon. Who doesn't love cinnamon? Cinnamon and apples. They're like the epitome. They're the OG, right? The OG of fall. Not pumpkin spice, right? Apple cider, cinnamon, nutmeg. That's what I think of when I think of fall. So it's all right, we're going to use some water. So we're going to have some. I have a pan here. I don't have any water in it yet, but we're going to use some water. That's going to help dissolve our white sugar so that we can make our sauce. And then we're going to add the butter and some vanilla. My vanilla is right here because that's where I'm going to use it. This one's the Costco one, but it is pure vanilla. Don't deal with like imitation vanilla. Use real vanilla extract. It's going to make a difference in the end. That warm, homey, comfy feeling that vanilla gives to a lot of our food. All right. So next, the plan is we're going to use the pastry dough. Like I said, it's already made. Mine right now is in the refrigerator. Then we're going to make our sauce. Or we're going to assemble our dumplings. We're going to make our sauce. We're going to pour it over ours before we bake it. And then when it's done, we're going to serve it with some really good vanilla ice cream. You could do like whipped cream, caramel sauce. I also have caramel sauce. I'm using my Ghirardelli sauce caramel. Sometimes I make caramel, sometimes I don't. This time I just have some. I happen to have some for a different reason, and so we're going to use that one as well. Or you could do something that we've done in the past: apple dumplings in your cereal bowl with some milk. Makes a lovely breakfast. Then send your kids to school. All right, so let's get started a little bit. My oven's already preheated. It's at 400 degrees. That's about 204 degrees Celsius. I'm going to tell you this. I never, ever, ever stick things in the oven immediately. Okay, as soon as that ding ding goes off and says it's to temperature, it's not. It's only part of your oven. If you have a convection oven, that's a little bit different. It's going to be more to temperature because that fan's going to keep moving the air around. Okay, but if you don't have a convection oven, like you're going to have a hotter and colder spot, like pockets of air, and so you want to make sure that everything has had a chance to warm up, so that your baked goods come out more evenly crisp the way that we want them to be. Okay, or more even. So for me, I just turn it on, and then I start getting all my ingredients together. Remember last week we talked about mise en place? And so that's kind of what we do. And so that whole time that it's been warming up, like while I got everything ready and ready to talk to you, my oven's been on. It's probably been on for about 20 minutes. All right, I'm going to switch to an overhead camera here in just a minute so you can see what we're doing, and I'll see you in just a minute. Hey, welcome back. So we're getting ready to assemble our dumplings. So let me show you a couple things, other things I do. So I have flour. I keep it in this little strainer. I don't know if you can see it, some on the side. And I'm going to just kind of lightly dust that. I like this little one because it's a little easier to control. Sorry about the noise. We're going to smooth this out. That's my dough. And because it's a strainer, it's just a strainer. Like it's really just a strainer. I usually keep it in my dough or in my flour, so that when I want to like whip up my flour and kind of air it out some, then I use that and it whips it up. I also use it a lot of times when I'm measuring. If I am going to measure something by measure instead of weight, I will use that to sift it into my measuring cup as opposed to scooping in and compacting my flour too much. All right, so I have my dough. And a lot of times, you know, you make dough, you put it in the refrigerator and let it set. A lot of times they'll tell you to put it in a disc. That's because you're going to make a pie. So since this time we're going to make a rectangle, we're going to make a 24 about 16 about inch pie or rectangle. I went ahead and shaped it into a rectangle before I put it in the fridge. So we're going to pull her out of here and we're going to start to work with our dough. Okay, so this is one of my favorite. I don't even know what it is. It's I can't say that. I think I got it from Amazon. But one of the things that I love about it is that it's flat, but these pieces come off, and I have a whole set, so I can do, and it tells you on both sides, so 2 millimeters or approximately 1/16 of an inch, 10 millimeters, 3/8 of an inch, and so that's how thick I can roll something out. So should I choose to, okay, this is only though, like what, 13 inches wide, and we're going to need 16. So I'm going to get it. Use it for the most, and then I'm going to get out the other one and finish it off so that I can get to 16 inches. The other thing I like about my strainer, I can put it on my dough or on my my roller and roll it out. So I'm not going to make you watch me roll, but I'm going to show you just a couple pieces. I'm going to keep turning. I'm going to pick it up, turn it, roll a couple pieces, pick it up, roll it. Okay, it's a little bit cold, and I'm going to finish rolling this and turn it over every now and then to make sure it doesn't stick on the bottom. And see, we're going to start there, pull some back in here, and I will be back to you in just a few minutes. And we're back. So I have this rolled out. It's not exactly what we like. It's not exactly perfectly rectangle. It's okay. We just need to cut this now into like 6 pieces. How thick is it? Not very thick. it's probably, well, what's my smallest? My smallest is, three millimeters. Damn it. Amazon's here. Or 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So that's about perfect for what we're going to do. Now we're going to cut this into 6 pieces. So basically I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut it 3. I'm going to get a little bit more allowance on these edges that aren't exactly square. So I'm just going to cut her in half. And then I need 3 pieces out of each one of these. So we're going to go about here and about here. All right, that's close enough. So now what we're going to do is get our apples. We're going to make some noise. Okay. So have some apples, and we're going to stop. Okay, let's do that again. So I got my pieces cut. Sorry about the Amazon. I'm going to take my peeled and cored apples. I'm going to put it in the center. I'm going to take, I already have my butter, so this is my Kerrygold. I'm going to take my butter, and it's been sitting out for just a little bit. We're going to shove it down into there. Okay, a little bit. Towel. Stay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my brown sugar. Okay. And we're going to shove some of that down in there. And we're going to take a little bit more and put it around the bottom edges. So here's what we have. We have 6 Granny Smith apples. And we have a half, or like a stick of butter. So a half a cup of butter. We have 152 grams of brown sugar, which is about 3/4 of a cup. Then we have a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of nutmeg, kind of already in here together. And I'm going to get one of my smaller scoops. And we're going to sprinkle it over the top. Okay, just a little bit to kind of evenly spread it about. All right, so I need to get 6 out of that. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull one side up. Oops. I'm going to pull the other side up, and we're going to mash them together. Okay, and if you need to, I keep a little bit of water on hand so that we can kind of get them to stick and seal together. Bring the other side up. A little water on that. A little water on that. And then we're going to pull these and squish them and like whatever we can do to seal them up. Okay? And water again is going to help us with that. Okay. And then once we're going to kind of smash it all in there. So sometimes if you think your dough was rolled out a little too thin, this is a good place to like thicken it up, because you can use those overlapping pieces. And we're going to take those and we're going to put them in our baking dish. So I'm going to put 4 in here, and I have another dish I'm going to put 2 in. So we're going to have that. I'm going to finish all of these up, and then we're going to make our sauce. See you in a bit. All right, so we're all wrapped. You can see some wrapped a little bit neater than others. That's just kind of the way it works. So I already have some water that's starting to get warm, so that this would go a little bit faster. But I'm going to take 2 cups of sugar, or what was it, 200 and I weighed it, but it's about 2 cups of sugar. Okay, and then I'm going to dissolve it in my water, and I need my whisk. And we're going to whisk that together along with. So when we did the apples, we had 1 stick of butter, and I divided it into 1/8, and 1 went in each of the apples. We had 6 apples. I have 2 pieces left, So we're going to drop those in there. And we have a teaspoon of vanilla already measured. And so we're going to drop that in there. And we're just going to bring this to a boil. Okay? So we're going to stir it till it comes to a boil. And once it starts to do that, I will be back. Okay, so we've been cooking for about 5 minutes. So we brought it to a boil, turned it down to simmer, let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and we're about ready to take this and drizzle it over our 2 pans. This is not a thick sauce. It's going to thicken up a little bit and get more syrupy as it bakes. Right now we just want this kind of golden color. We want this nice. It's going to help us add some flavor in. It's not add some flavor. Well, it does add flavor to our dumplings as they cook. Okay, so we're going to take this. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. That is nice and hot. I'll put my pan right here. I think you can see it still. Maybe not. You can't see it. Okay, so I'm right here, and I'm just going to use a ladle in the beginning, and I'm just going to very simply pour it over the top. So we're going to put a couple ladles on this one. Make sure I get over all the way over each of them. Same thing on the other one. So the other pan has 2 in it. Put 2 in there. And now that we have a little less in the pan, we can probably go ahead and pour it. Maybe a little bit, one more. We're going to do one more in here. All right. Then I'm going to take these. We're going to put them in the oven. It's at 400 degrees, like I said before, 204 or 5 degrees Celsius. I'm going to put them in the oven. And about 30 minutes in, I'm going to check them, see if they need to be tinted with foil. If they're if they're browning too quickly. And if they're not, we'll leave them be and we'll cook them for about another 20 to 30 minutes after that. So I will see you in about an hour. Hey, we're back. So I actually just took them out of the oven. I'm going to let them sit for a second and then I'll bring them over here so you can see them. But I want to talk about a couple things you didn't see, which is my fault. I buttered the pans before I put the apples in. So just so you're aware of that. I haven't used that yet. So I did use this little tiny whisk. I want you to see this. Isn't it cute? Can you see how little it is? It's tiny. And that's why I put the blue thing on it so I can find it. It's only about 3 inches long. I use it when I'm mixing spices together. So when I did the nutmeg and the cinnamon, I mixed them up a little bit together. The nutmeg is a half a teaspoon and the cinnamon, the cinnamon is a teaspoon, and so it's about a 1/4 teaspoon each on total on all of the apples as I did that. The other thing I use is my bench scraper. Well, this is my other roller, so it's more like a French roller. It's tapered on the ends. And then I use my bench scraper. So as I was working with that dough, as it would get a little bit warmer, a little stickier, as if I slide this underneath the dough, it helped to make sure that it wasn't sticking when it got to be too big to pick the whole thing up. So just some things for you to know. Also, the recipe will be in the description below, so don't worry about the recipe, you'll get that. And now, let's bring these over here. Excuse me. All right, so look at those, aren't they lovely? Okay, that back one got a little bit too brown probably, but you know, nothing that a little bit of ice cream never, like ice cream solves a lot of things, If you notice, it is dough, so it does still like puff up a little bit. Let me turn it this way so I can get to some of them. And you can see that sugar that was inside, can you see in here? I don't know how well you can see in here. Can you see how much it kind of, the the sugar sauce that we made, instead of being as clear as it was, is much more caramelized. So it's gonna make it delicious too. So I have my handy dandy scoop because that's the best way to do this. And we're gonna scoop in here. See if we can get in up underneath. We're gonna put that in there. And oh yeah, look at all that deliciousness. Put some more of that on top of all of those. I'll stick that right there for right now. And then I have my vanilla ice cream and my handy dandy Pampered Chef ice cream scoop. We're gonna put some ice cream on that. What do you think? 2 scoops? 1 scoop? 2 scoops at least, right? I don't know, that's pretty big. They aren't very big scoops. Probably should have got it out of the fridge a little, or freezer a little bit sooner. Let's do 3 kind of small scoops of ice cream. We'll set that aside. And as promised, a drizzle of garlic. How about caramel? All right, and that's it. I'm gonna give this just another minute or so to cool off. Let's taste this though. The ice cream and the sauce. Delicious. All right. Ooh, look at the steam coming out of there. And if you look, you can see my apple is still firm enough that I cut through it. But as I click on it, push on it, it's soft enough for my spoon to go through. All right, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, the recipe will be in the comments. So don't worry about that. That's why I didn't get as specific this time, because I'll start putting the recipes in the comments. And if you have any questions about anything I did, it didn't make sense to you, if you want to know more, let me know. Oh, and remember to subscribe and to share this with your friends. The more people that do that, the more we get to help people. So have a good day.